All right. So Lane Kiffin, the biggest story in sports right now. And I was never a fan of Lane Kiffin. I did not like how he did things with the Raiders. I didn't even like the way he did things with Tennessee. I didn't like some of his arrogance that I had seen in years past. But here's my thoughts on Lane Kiffin. And let's be clear here. Nobody knows exactly who or what to believe. I'm going to share my opinion, my take on what Lane has shown, because he's really the only person that we've heard from. We haven't heard from the AD. We haven't heard from assistants that have come out and spoke on this. They're staying relatively mum on this. So when he was interviewed at the airport yesterday, and some of the ways he's conducted things that we are aware of, that we know, that have come from his mouth or from his finger in his text, that's what I'm going to give you my opinion on. If more comes out, I reserve the right? I reserve judgment to change it at that point in time. Let me also be clear. If he in any way extorted and said, if you don't allow me to coach, now I'm speaking in hypotheticals here. If you don't allow me to stay, I'm taking every player, I'm taking every coach. I'm going to crush this university. If he did something like that, then all bets are off. Then Lane Kiffin is nothing's changed. Okay? If that has happened, nothing has changed. Let's assume for a moment that he's been honest with us. And then what he said at the airport is like, no, that's a narrative that people are pushing. And every coach has the, and if he's lying about that, and he could lie to a camera like that, man, that's just not good. But he said, and I'm paraphrasing, it's every coach's decision. If they want to stay, that's their family, that's their decision to make. Now, let's say it's true. He wants to go to LSU. He wants to leave Ole Miss. Or he was torn. Florida, LSU for weeks now. He has this background of dragging things out and the drama. I get it. But that does not necessarily mean that was the case here. Again, we're going to take it at face value on what it is we actually know at this point. I don't care about this kid who came out and called him a hoe and all these type of things. That guy doesn't know anything in terms of what really, truly went on. He's up for clicks. And speaking of that guy, and I don't have his name right here, if you go to his X page, and this is the part that kills me, these people out there that call themselves Christians and they give Bible verses. He says, ask me anything about my daughters or ask me anything about Ole Miss. And so I asked him yesterday, what kind of example are you setting for your daughters? Like, he's got a Bible verse there. And it's like, you come out and you use that language about another human being. I don't care what your opinion is of the person. Don't talk to somebody like that. And good for Lane Kiffin for approaching him. Like, that's what I'm in the intro here in the open. That's what I'm saying. You don't get the right to call somebody anything you want because you have one of these. You don't get to degrade them as a person or their family or anything else. You just don't. If you want to, degrade the performance and question the performance and ask legitimate questions about why a team is failing, about Mike Tomlin, but that doesn't mean Mike Tomlin's a bad guy. I actually think Mike Tomlin's a good guy. I think Mike Tomlin's been good for the NFL, but it's not getting done anymore. So I question his ability to coach in the modern game. All right, back to Kiffin. So an opportunity presents itself. You're the head football coach. What is this? Year 6 of Ole Miss. You rebuilt an entire program to a national power. LSU, Florida, Penn State, Alabama 2 years ago. These type of jobs don't open up every day. LSU is, I think we could all agree, is somewhere in the top 5 programs in all of sports or in all of college football. Head coaching position, biggest job, top 5 that you can have. I would submit that Ole Miss is probably not even in the top 40 or 50, maybe even 60 jobs in college. It's clear as day. Lane Kiffin was up here. Raiders, what is it, Tennessee, USC, Florida International mixed in there to help fix his brand, goes to Ole Miss, has a 6-year run, rebuilds the entire organization or the entire university's football program, delivers Jackson Dart, who's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm on record with that. He will be better than Eli Manning, barring injury. He developed that guy. And he's got his team in the national playoff coming up here. He led that program, folks. He built that program. He's responsible for that. There's people that helped him, but he's responsible for that because 6 years ago when he came in, it wasn't there. It wasn't doing well. It was in the toilet. So within that 6 years, you rebuild your brand. And we're going to talk about how this equates, how I believe this equates to life here coming up. So he rebuilds his brand. He rebuilds the program. They're doing that simultaneously. You get into a national championship hunt, and it's now a 12-team playoff in the college football playoff, and you're one of those teams. And LSU opens up. And folks, this is an NCAA issue in terms of where and how the calendar falls and how it works. LSU, Florida, all of those programs, you need to hire a coach. You have recruiting to do. You potentially have bowl games. You have offseason. You have recruiting. You have NIL. You have all of these things that you need a face to your program, and it's gone on. It's gone on. It's gone on. I waited for like 3 weeks. Some people think that was the drama. Maybe he was truly torn. He has everything he wants in Ole Miss. He's king of the castle. There's apparently plenty of money that they put on the table to try to keep him. Apparently NIL money is there, etc. So, and I appreciate that he did this, and I think it was a great move. By all accounts, he reached out to Pete Carroll and Nick Saban for advice. Two titans, right, in college football history. Two guys who've moved around quite a bit. Those are great guys to counsel. Lane Kiffin is 50. He's in the prime of his career. He has a top 5 job, a top 5 university in terms of a football program that is showing interest. What exactly is Lane Kiffin supposed to do? Is Lane Kiffin supposed to say, we're in the college football playoff? Bye, LSU. I'm going to see this through. The Florida job's gone. The LSU job's gone. Whatever other jobs are gone. I'm coming back next year. Is that what he should have done? Would that have made some people happy? Let's talk about this in life, and I put this out as an example yesterday on X. Let's say you work for General Motors, and you're working on an incredible EV project. It's an electric vehicle that's going to rival Tesla, and it's going to put you on the map because GM, Ford, they really don't have anything. Chrysler, they don't have anything on the level of a Tesla that's globally known as, I got to have this car. They're trying, but it hasn't happened. Let's say you've been working 2-3 years on this project, and you're absolutely embedded in the project. You're trying to stand up against Tesla. They are the king. And man, you're in it. You're working your ass off. And there's a release date. And Tesla decides they want to hire you. They see what you're doing. They like what you're doing. And they see you as a potential valuable asset to their organization, to their company. So Tesla starts recruiting you. You're at GM, General Motors, and they start recruiting you. But you're on a project with a team, and you have years invested with that team. And this is a moment. They're giving you a week to make a decision, which is usually what it is. Here's our offer. It's good for a week, or maybe it's good for 10 days. And we need a decision for you because we have this spot. We need to fill it. We have 5 candidates. You're number 1. You don't take it, we're going to number 2. And it's an opportunity of a lifetime. Tesla is the EV leader in the world. If you're that person, are you going to stay loyal? Let's say the money is, let's say the money isn't the driver of the difference. Because I'll just be honest, I'm not sure that, I don't think that Lane Kiffin went to LSU for the money. I really don't. In the grand scheme of things, he's made a lot of money. He was making a lot of money at Ole Miss. They gave him a lot more money to stay, or we're going to give him a lot more money to stay at Ole Miss. And so it's by comparison. the person leave GM to go to Tesla for the money? Let's put that aside. I want to be with the number one brand. They're giving me a promotion in position, or it's a more status position. I get to initiate certain things that maybe I didn't get a chance to do over here. So LSU is going to have more access to NIL players than Ole Miss. Let's make no mistake about it. And that's no disrespect to people at Ole Miss. If you have the ability and the same money to recruit and NIL and portal and all of this at LSU, and you're going to try for the same opportunity at Ole Miss and LSU, who's the dominant athlete going to choose between those two schools? They're going to choose LSU most of the time. Maybe it's a family thing and they live in a certain part, or Ole Miss, it has some sort of meaning to their family historically. Like I think it's the AD over there that came up through the program, and it means something to him. So maybe it means something to a potential recruit. But if all things being equal, and you have a choice between LSU to go be a superstar, and it's money's close, 9 out of 10 are picking LSU. The GM person decides to take the job at Tesla. Are we going to destroy the person who works for General Motors because even though he's got a year, 2, 3 years invested into an EV program to go ahead and rival the Tesla models and become a player and go 1 and 1A and go right up next to Tesla? Are they going to stay at GM because they had a year or 2 invested? You have any idea? You don't have any idea, but I'm telling you, I've had countless employees over the years making 6 figures make decisions on a whim. Some have left with notice. Some of them have left without notice. Some we saw it coming. Some we didn't see it coming. And the reasons are ample as to why they would do such a thing. They didn't want it anymore. Maybe it was too hard. Maybe it was, not what they enjoyed anymore. Maybe the drive was too long. Maybe the standard and the expectation wasn't a fit, and they moved on for whatever reason. Maybe they were there 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. They needed to make a decision that was right for them. Lane Kiffin made a decision that he felt was right for him at 50 years old, the prime of his career. He's rebuilt his brand. LSU gives him more opportunity on every level to get absolutely everything he's wanted versus an Ole Miss. In terms of the timing of it, I believe him that he tried to finish out what he started, kind of like a 2-week notice would. Some people give a month notice, depending on where you're at and what type of role you have. I've been in, 2 months ago, let's say, they would put it in a notice and say, I'm going to take it through the end of the year. Again, it depends on the level. So as it relates to Lane Kiffin and his importance to the university, I'm talking from Lane Kiffin's perspective, not Ole Miss, because they're two different things. Lane Kiffin says, I want to stay and coach the team. I want to finish this out. And he said that he was trying to negotiate a way to make that happen. Did he bail on his team? LSU is here and it's going to be gone. You have to give him an answer. So you say, I want to take the LSU job, sir, but I'd love to be able to help the team complete what we started and finish this thing out to the end. LSU is going to be understanding of that, but I would need to agree to be the coach in waiting for the LSU Tigers. I believe he tried to do this. People say, oh, he wanted his cake and eat it too. This goes on every single day in life. What am I missing here? Again, if you didn't see it earlier, if Lane Kiffin used LSU to steal players and coaches and use that to threaten them, if you don't let me finish, here's what I'm going to do, then that's different. All bets are off. But assuming he did it in a manned up and did it in a good way and say, hey, look, I feel bad about this. This was a decision that I could not pass up. LSU is a place that I think is going to work for my family and myself long term. I'm going to go ahead and accept that job. But I feel a sense of loyalty to the program, to how great you guys have treated me. And you don't think that Lane Kiffin knows that Ole Miss gave him an opportunity to rebuild his brand No matter what you think of Lane Kiffin, I believe he knows that feels that on some level. So I would love for an opportunity. Let's assume he did it this way. I would love for an opportunity to finish with these guys. They mean a lot to me. We've built something special here. I'd love to finish it out. Now, obviously, Ole Miss said no to that. Is Ole Miss wrong for that? Not necessarily, because Ole Miss has a lot of things to take into consideration. They have to take into consideration players, the players' families, future recruits, the fans. And as you could see at the airport yesterday, if you watched the video, they're not happy. And there's a lot of trash going on online. So if they allow him to stay, they might have wanted to. On some level, they might have wanted to and felt like that was a good thing. And hey, let him finish. But over here outweighs over here. And it's like, man, we're going to have to deal with all of this, and it could hurt us by letting him stay. So the way he conducted himself in the interview at the airport yesterday, I thought he handled it really well. Did he handle that way behind the scenes? We don't know for sure. But if he handled it behind the scenes, the way he handled it at the airport, why is Lane Kiffin getting destroyed right now when the calendar is what the calendar is? Players leave any time now. You could leave any time and enroll at another school and play for somebody else tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow because the season's over, but after week 2, I don't want to play here no more. I'm going to unenroll. I'm out. And then they get to go enroll, and there's not even any limits anymore, and you can basically go play. It's not a year waiting period, and all that stuff has changed so much. Players do it. Assistants do it. Administration officials do it. The coaching calendar is such that between the end of the season, or it depends on when they fire a guy, and that's another thing. A university could fire a guy at midpoint and just say, you know what? Your services are no longer needed. Bye. Napier, Brian Kelly, there's a whole bunch of people. James Franklin. So this guy makes a decision for him and his family that he feels is in the best interest of him. And I'm telling you, as a former employer of so many people over the years and or managing thousands of people over the years, yeah, it stinks when you have a really good thing going and you have a really quality person or persons in a role and they decide for whatever reason to go someplace else. Yeah, it's hard to take. It hurts. You have a lot of time. You have a lot of money. You have a lot of, personal interaction, teaching, coaching, leading. You have so much invested into the person or persons. It's tough to see that go on or to break apart for whatever the reason. I get it. And it is not always a happy feeling. Sometimes it's an angry feeling. Sometimes it's a letdown feeling. I get it. The fans of Ole Miss feel like they've been let down. But I would challenge everybody to rethink this a little bit. Maybe put yourself in the shoes. Ole Miss is not LSU. I don't care how you slice it. People say, oh, LSU is this right now, and they're not that good right now. Well, Ole Miss wasn't very good when Lane Kiffin got there. And look what he did. And let's just be honest, he did not have the pull. Well, when he entered, there was no NIL. There was no portal when he entered at Ole Miss. Now, it's there. Are you going to be able to recruit the same people and acquire the same people at Ole Miss as you are at LSU? No. 100% no. He has the ability to go there for the next 10 years and be in or sniffing right at the national championship every single year. That's not going to happen at Ole Miss. If none of this happened, that's not going to happen at Ole Miss. It's just not possible. It's just not enough of those level of athletes. Let's just keep it real. It's not the same level of athlete going to Ole Miss as it is to LSU. It is not equal. As much as the people in Ole Miss want to make it equal, it's not. LSU is not very good right now, but that will change quickly. He will get this to change. It appears Charlie Weiss Jr. has gone with. We shall see. That's attractive. and people love offense, and he's very good at it. So I understand Ole Miss's position. You've got to cut bait for the sanctity, right? And salvage your university and your brand in terms of how upset people are. Oh, he bailed on these guys. What's he supposed to do? He wanted to stay and finish, but he wanted to accept the job. Now, I've had people leave me and say, I'm going to give you a 30-day notice. There's big things that were going on that person or persons wouldn't be able to see. I'm going to give you 30 days. And I went ahead with it. Person that was with me for 6 years. Same as, ironically, same as Lane Kiffin, 6 years. Now, it wasn't the right person. In all honesty, it wasn't the right person for the job, but it was invested. And I was invested into him. He was invested into us. Everybody knew who he was. When that decision comes, it's not easy. I get it. And I don't mean to sound repetitive here, but this outburst from people, and there are some out there that are really making common sense. Hey, the NCAA is really the ones at fault here. Why would a coach, have to go through this? It's probably Lane Kiffin's background. There he goes again. This Lane Kiffin this, it's Lane Kiffin that. Man, you can't go back to the Raiders and the Tennessee situation or whatever and say that that's what's, pushing this right now. I don't think it has anything to do with it. You can argue that of all the jobs that he's had, just throw out the Raiders because he's mostly a college guy. Of all the jobs, including USC, Tennessee, Florida International, Ole Miss, LSU. All right, USC and LSU are on the same level, let's just say. Prestigious, power university, incredible resources. How do you blame the guy? Pass up LSU, come back to Ole Miss, and hope, hope Lincoln Riley gets axed. Hope, Kayla DeBoer gets axed and you end up at Alabama. I mean, you were there as an offensive coordinator, but to get the head coaching job, maybe Texas, is that what you're going to do? You're going to pass up on it? It's right here. It's right now. It might not ever come again. How is no one seeing this? And they're only seeing Lane Kiffin's history, his background. I just don't think that that's fair. I really don't. Again, for the last time, unless he went in there and he tried to extort everything and say, if you don't do this, I'm going to do that. That would throw all this out the window. This is only on face value based on what he has said, because no one else that we know for sure, such as the AD and other people in the chancellor, they spoke yesterday, but they didn't speak in detail about exactly what happened. They said it's been a tumultuous few weeks. Of course, an offer comes in. When an offer came in to me as an employer, it made for a tumultuous few weeks. Let me tell you, that person I just spoke of that stayed for a month, that made for a tumultuous 30 days. Yeah, it's tumultuous. So lay off the guy, for crying out loud. Until proven otherwise, I think you'd all do the same thing. And if you were at GM, you'd take the job over at Tesla. I really do.